mm, 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 mm. And cool. We are heading on. 3, 2. Up and off.
Bump, 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 bump. Hey, it's the first Bindi in a while. Welcome to another edition of the Blue Review presented by LAX. I'm Marcus Grant with Greg Bergman. Parker Bell is lurking in the shadows. I think he's having a technical issue on his end, so we can hear him. We just can't see him.
The internet around here is not the greatest anymore, and we just got to get it fixed.
Yeah, technology, man, technology.
Anyway,
not great. We haven't been with you since last Thursday, in part because All-Star Friday happened, and so a lot of the equipment was out there on Friday, and then it hadn't quite come back all the way. It was set up for Monday. So here we are back with you on a Tuesday. Good weekend. I mean, look, it started with All-Star Friday. Greg, you and I were part of the victorious Team Cappy. We shook up the world, won when nobody thought we could. So it was a good start to the weekend, I feel like.
Yeah, that was a great weekend. And Parker, if you have a second, can you either look in my office or Cappy's office? I wanted to have the trophy with me.
Oh yeah,
today. So today is a good day for the trophy because this show, you and I did quite well.
Yes, yeah. Couple of hits each. Drove in a run.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a good day as this Team Cappy.
I think you drove in me, right?
I did. I drove you in the sixth inning.
That's right.
Yeah. So part of an 8-4 victory. Ramona Shelburne, the MVP after pitching 7 solid innings and baffling the heavy hitting lineup on the other side. So a good start to the weekend there. And then the Dodgers finally break their losing streak. There it is.
There's Team Cappy.
So Team Cappy gets the win. The Dodgers break their losing streak. It on Friday had reached a season high 7 games. In fact, that's been their longest losing streak in quite some time. And finally, they win the final 2 games of that series against the Giants. We'll get into that. Obviously, we're in the All-Star break as well. We can start talking about trade targets because the deadline is in just a couple of weeks. But before any of that, I want to give a shout out to the folks at LAX. They are transforming the travel experience. They are saving guests time, just generally trying to make things more pleasant when you are on your travel journey. For more information, you can go to flylax.com/transforminglAX. There it is, the Victory Cup. Displaying it proudly today. So
as it should be displayed proudly. This thing's awesome. The Voice of LA Victory Cup.
Yeah.
I'm pretty very, very excited about this.
Absolutely. All right, so let's start with last week because we hadn't been here since Thursday. The Dodgers, they go through the long losing streak. Everybody was frustrated. Finally they win 2 out of 3 in San Francisco and sort of right the ship. I guess overall your thoughts on the first half and kind of a letter grade, if you will, for the Dodgers in the first half.
So, I mean, if you want to go with letter grade, they've just never been healthy enough and never really played well enough to go into the A. I'll still give them a B, maybe like a B minus to a B. It's hard to even go lower than that. Let's go straight B, just because they still have the second best record in all of baseball.
Right.
They have the best record in the National League. They have a 5.5 game lead in the division. You can't be too upset, but I don't want to give them an A because it's been a frustrating year. The offense hasn't been hitting at the same time as the pitching staff. The pitching staff has been all beat up, or it hasn't been playing well when the offense was doing well. We've never really had a full set of a team here, and still, because of the amount of talent on this team, are still leading and doing as well as everybody has expected them to. They just need to go further. And then you have guys I see in the chat from Jazz Meat. Tanner Scott is still secretly playing for the Padres. Yeah, I mean, that's maybe possible, but he's been up and down. I don't think anybody has really been completely solid all the way through just yet. Maybe Andy Pajes, but he started to kind of slow down a little bit. And Shohei, but he goes through his slumps just like everybody else. So I'm going B. Where are you at?
Yeah, I was going to give him I was leaning B plus, but I think B is probably a little more accurate there, just because you're right. I mean, here we are. They go through a 7-game losing streak. Yes, they do win the last 2 before the All-Star break, but after all that struggle, as you mentioned, they're a game back of the Detroit Tigers for the best record in all of Major League Baseball. They have a 5.5-game lead over the Padres, a 6-game lead over the Giants. They are the right now. If the playoffs started today, the Dodgers are the 1 seed and they get a bye in the National League playoffs. So for all of our hand wringing and frustration, they're still where they should be. They're still pretty much where they were kind of at this time last year. And I think the positive is people are starting to get healthy.
Yes.
Tyler Glass now came back, had a great start in his return. Blake Trinan expected to be back very soon. Roki Sasaki starting to work his way back. So all those arms that they were counting on at the beginning of the year look like they're coming back and starting to get ready again. So the rotation should be solidified. The bullpen getting a little bit of help. Along those lines, there's talk about Dustin May moving to the bullpen. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, see, that's always been where I thought he would be the best, is in the bullpen. Until he was every single start, he was going out there. He was giving you 5 to 7 innings. That's no longer the case. He's more going up and down now, where he's giving up 7, then he's been great, and then he gives up 7. The problem is, I think that his velocity is much lower than what you would expect it to be. He used to be throwing 100 with a ton of movement, and now it's still in like the 95, 96 range, and he still has that ton of movement. The issue with moving into the bullpen has always been he doesn't get a lot of swing and miss, and hasn't been a massive strikeout pitcher with all that movement. So you put him in the bullpen, and would he be better if he's going to just go in there for that 1 inning and just have it all ramped up and throw everything he's got for that 1 inning? Yeah, I think that could be better for him overall. And that's where I've always thought his career would end up. The problem is that they have other guys in there, and also I just don't think they're going to do it. So my question to you, before you answer the same thing, what would you do with Dustin May? We've had this conversation a little bit, but what would you do with Dustin May? That you talked about the trade deadline coming up. Is he a trade piece? Because he will get you value. Because he's 27 years old, because he has that much movement, because he can get to 100 miles an hour. He has a future, and he does give you innings. What do you do with him?
Yeah, I know we talked about this a couple weeks ago with Jeff Spiegel too. And at the time, I was sort of like, I don't know. I think you hold on to him, but I'm leaning more toward, hey, maybe you can go out and you try and trade him. You see what you can get back. There's still a lot to work with there. But, this is also a guy who missed pretty much 2 years, essentially, of the game, came back this year, and he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. And I think
unrestricted, walk away.
That's the part, is that I don't know that you want to potentially lose a guy as talented as Dustin May without potentially getting something back in return. So I think right now, while you still have some control, I think you shop him, you see what you can get. I think we're all agreed Michael Conforto is playing his last games in Dodger blue, but on his own, Michael Conforto's not going to get you too much. So if you can package maybe Dustin May, maybe a prospect in there as well, I think you can get something really good back in return for him. So I'm starting to come around. I think that was Jeff's opinion as well. I think I'm starting to come around to that right now.
Yeah, I've always been so high, because he said it the best way that there was when he did say that. It was that you see his stuff and you think, what, you have to be able to hold on to that guy, because it's elite level stuff, but he doesn't actually show it. And he can't find the plate. He walks a ton of guys. He gives up a lot of home runs. He just hasn't been. But then you think about it the way you were saying it and how we talked about it last time. He didn't play for 2 years.
Yeah,
he's going out there and pitching every single start. He's not supposed to be your number 1, 2, 3, 4, or even 5th guy. Really.
Right.
He's your 6th starter, but he's playing as your 5th or 4th guy right now. So it's kind of a nice luxury to have a guy like that. He just is giving up too many runs and not doing enough in that sense. But so if you can get a good piece for it, I think that would be ideal. And I think if you can move a couple, like you said, a couple of prospects and get a good outfielder, maybe get another good relief pitcher, there's other stuff that you can do out there. And then Dustin May could be one that I could see moving in that. And by the way, I see again, Jazz Meat in the chat. Yeah. We are having Bruce on, and he's going to be on tomorrow. So
yes.
There you go.
Yep.
Bruce Kuntz will be on with us tomorrow.
He'll be on with us tomorrow. He can talk minor league guys.
Yep.
Obviously, the draft just wrapped up yesterday, I believe it was. So we can talk about some of the prospects that are coming. Apparently, the Dodgers have a thing for the University of Arkansas.
Yeah, back-to-back picks.
Back-to-back picks from the University of Arkansas. So apparently a lot of scouting going on down there in Fayetteville. So we'll talk to Bruce about that coming up tomorrow on the show. Back to your other question, though, about Dustin May and the bullpen. Yeah. The thing that worries me, and you kind of hit on it too, I mean, that's just the lack of swing and miss, but the fact that for him, I mean, for a lot of the Dodger pitchers, but especially Dustin May, the first inning has been brutal. And if you're bringing a guy out of the bullpen, you need him to come in and immediately put up zeros. Yes. And I feel like with his command issues, I mean, the stuff is nasty. And watching him out there, it looks like he's throwing a wiffle ball sometimes, the way that thing moves. But he doesn't necessarily, I think, always know where it's going. He doesn't always have great command of it. And if you're bringing him in a tight ball game, either you're down by a run or two, or you're up by a run or two, and you're trying to hold the score where it is, that makes me a little bit nervous about a Dustin May coming out of the bullpen. I mean, we've seen when he gets through that first inning or the first two innings, he's been pretty sharp, but there's always that one or two hiccups in there that make a difference, and it's hard to have that from a guy out of the bullpen. Maybe in the short term, he becomes your bulk guy. You know, maybe he's the guy that comes in after Shohei or something. I'm just trying to think of short term. So, I mean, because obviously he's going to be here at least for the next week or so. We don't know what happens.
Yeah, sure.
But, in the short term, what are solutions with Dustin May? That's one that immediately pops into my head.
Yeah, no, most definitely. But you have guys like you have Ben Kasparius and Jack Dreyer that can go out there and give you bulk innings. And then behind, instead of him starting, you have Emmett Sheehan, and even Justin Robleski has been pretty good, or could be is the bulk guy, or can take the spot of Dustin May. That's kind of the issue with all of this, is that because you have so many other pieces that are pitching better than him, and he is on a walk away, and you don't want to really lose him for nothing, that he seems like such a trade candidate, and not even moving him into the bullpen. I love Dustin May. I really thought that he was going to be something special, and it hasn't got. You see glimpses. You do see glimpses, like not this last start, the start before that. You're like, okay, all right. There's something that Dustin, like show him what you got, getting strikeouts, getting swing and miss, and then it just all falls apart against a good team. So I don't know. I don't think Dustin May is long for the Dodgers anymore, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're probably right. I did see a comment in the chat about maybe package him with Bobby Miller, which I mean, Bobby Miller's another one who you watch him and you see that the stuff is real. I don't know. It feels like Miller's biggest issues are sort of between his ears. Like it's something mental right now with Bobby Miller. And I mean, especially because when you watch him, if one thing goes bad, it tends to snowball, right? If he gives up a walk or he gives up a home run, he hasn't shown an ability to just shake it off and then go after the next guy. It's like, a walk leads to a double, leads to a home run, leads to another double. And suddenly, he's given up, 4 runs with 2 outs or something like that. Like that, I think is the problem. But the stuff is real, and I think somebody's willing to take a chance on Bobby Miller too.
I'm sure everybody would be. He's young. He's still a top 5 prospect in the Dodgers organization. He's struggling, and the problem with being on the Dodgers and struggling is that there's a bunch of dudes that are going to be right behind you, being right. Like, okay, you're struggling. That's my spot now. So like you're not gonna last very long there. So yeah, some of the bigger names that we've had in the minor league system could very well be on the move. I mean, you include James Outman in that, who's back up here. I know he probably doesn't have a ton of value because of how bad he's been at the plate, but people see his defense. He full on saved that game on Sunday.
Yes, he
did. A great catch, a great over his shoulder catch in center field that would have pretty much ended the game, if not tied it, whatever it was. That would have been over. Because of him, he won that game. So people see that, and you get trade value there. So if like a Dustin May, it sounds like we're just giving away our junk for something good, but to other people, this isn't junk. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I mean these are pieces. That there's potential there that, maybe need a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of fixing. I mean, and look, to be honest, the Dodgers have done a lot of that too, right? Where you get guys that don't seem to be doing much of anything in one place, and they figure some things out. I mean, look, Michael Kopech wasn't exactly killing it with the White Sox, but I mean, I guess nobody was killing it with the White Sox last year. But he was a huge piece out of the bullpen on their way to winning a World Series last year, So, I mean, bringing back, guys who are older sometimes. The Dodgers have done a very, very good job of that in trying to get something out of them. So, these are a lot of questions that they're going to have to answer in the next, week and a half or so before the trade deadline hits to try to figure some things out. Some other good minor league news, though. You saw Josue DePaula, the MVP of the Futures game. A big 3-run home run in the ball game, and so obviously he's not on his way yet. Let's not get too over our skis about this thing, but for a team that will be looking for outfield help certainly this year and probably down the road, the fact that DePaula is continuing to develop and produce is really, really encouraging right now. So
it is really encouraging, and he's probably in that same situation that if he's not ready for the big leagues, they could possibly look at moving one of their top prospects. I don't think they'll do that. Yeah. I think he's going to stick around here, and they're going to use him, especially since they need so much outfield help. I can't see him moving an outfielder. But maybe a guy like Alex Freeland, who is towards the end of his time at AAA, like ready to break in, but he doesn't have a spot here on the Major League club. Is that somebody that gets moved? I don't know. But congratulations to Josue for that, for what you're talking about.
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah. The MVP of the Futures game. I know it's not necessarily the marquee event, except for, super baseball nerds, but, a big deal nonetheless. You mentioned Alex Freeland, too, since we're sitting here talking about trades. Was it Clint Pasillas, I think we had on a couple weeks ago, who mentioned that even with Muncy's prognosis, that maybe the Dodgers look at doing something at third base, just knowing that Muncy's time could be short here, or is that just us talking?
I think it might just be us talking, but maybe he got. I'm sure he has some good inside information, but maybe they do. I can't imagine if Muncy is coming back and it's just the bone bruise that they're saying it is, and he's going to be back within the next couple of weeks, or 4 or 5 weeks, whatever happens to be. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine they go out and get a third baseman that they would want to play at third base every day if Muncy is coming back. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, just to do it. And by the way, no, before anybody in the chat says anything, no on Nolan Arenado. That's not happening. No, they're not taking that contract, especially for what his bat has been.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. It's those two things in combination with one another. It's the big contract. It's the fact that he has not been the same offensive player over the last couple of years that he was for all those years he was crushing the Dodgers. So yeah, I think we can put that one pretty much to bed at this point. The update on Max Muncy, by the way, he is working a stationary bike. So
that's great.
Continuing to progress. So that is good there. Did you watch any of the home run derby last night?
I watched a little bit. I saw O'Neal Cruz have just an absolute monster of a shot. Yeah. That's a guy that maybe, if we're looking for outfield help, he's not the greatest defender. He's not the greatest. He's not the greatest hitter either. But he's got massive power, and maybe they could fix his swing a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long swing that partially happens when you're 6'7". You're just going to have a long swing in general, but had a couple of long, just ridiculous tape measure shots last night. Cal Raleigh ends up winning it, has a big dumper. Big final round. The big dumper, which, it was funny and a little bit unnerving how much they were talking about his rear end on the broadcast last night. There was a lot of conversation about the big dumper's dumper, but had his dad pitching to him, his brother catching. So it was truly a Raleigh family affair. If he goes on to win the home run derby. So All-Star game is tonight. The Dodgers have 3 starters. Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, and Will Smith will all be in the starting lineup for the National League. Clayton Kershaw is on the roster. Now, Yamamoto is there. We know he's not pitching because he pitched on Sunday, but he was in the building. I saw him hanging out with Shohei last night during the home run derby. Do you still have the same love for the Major League All-Star game? Because, as kids, I know we loved it, but does it feel the same now.
No, I don't really like All-Star game and All-Star games in general anymore. I don't think there's any that are really all that exciting to me. I'll probably watch this one because you can't really not try in a baseball All-Star game.
Right.
It's like if the ball comes to you, you have to go get it. You have to try and throw them out. So I don't know. I'll probably turn it on and watch it, but usually I stay away from All-Star games just because they're just not good products. But these ones are because the pitchers are trying to get you out. They're not just
Yes.
lobbing. It's not like an NBA All-Star game where they just like step aside and let you shoot
You
threes.
could throw lobs and shoot threes. And
Right.
stuff, right?
Yeah. They're the pitcher. They want to get you out. They don't want to give up home runs. So yeah, I might watch a little bit of it. Just depends on if I feel like turning it on or not.
No. I'm sort of with you. Like, I think I lately I'll turn on for the actual game itself. Like, I can skip all the pomp and circumstance,
God,
and the introductions of 60 guys or whatever it is. Like, I don't really have the interest in that anymore. I think I said this last year too. I am more and more of the opinion that All-Star games are a product of a bygone era, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Especially in baseball, once upon a time, before you had free agency, you played for an organization. Like, you spent your whole career there. And once upon a time, you were generally either a National League guy or an American League guy. And it was a big deal because you didn't get to see these players play against each other very often, because guys stayed in one place their whole career. And so unless somehow these teams met in the World Series, you wouldn't get to see some of these matchups. Now, guys
see everybody.
They see everybody, right? I mean, between free agency and the fact that now we've got this crossover in the interleague schedule and stuff like that, it's not as big a deal. We were texting our text chain about Jacob Mizorowski making the All-Star game. I don't love it. I sort of get it, because I guess a lot of people turned down the opportunity, and so they got down the list and he was the next on the list and he said yes. So I don't really blame him for that. But a guy who's made 5 starts,
25 innings,
no matter how electric those 25 innings were, I just don't think belongs in the All-Star game.
No.
But I know the argument has been, well, people want to see Jacob Mizorowski, and I'm like, well, it's a lot easier nowadays to see him,
Right. They play everybody, and it's like they just play the Dodgers. So,
Right. They just played the Dodgers. They actually come to Dodger Stadium just after the All-Star break as well. But also in an age of streaming television and subscriptions and stuff like that. Like, you can find your way to see a Brewers game. If you really want to.
MLB TV or whatever. But this is interesting. So Ruben Flores says All-Star games are cool because you get to see the stars on the same field at the same time. That's true. It's true. But I don't know. I just don't feel that way anymore. I don't know. Maybe it's just because being in the industry and seeing all these players all the time and watching every single Dodger game. And so you get to see, I get they're not on the field at the same time, but I don't know. Baseball is more of an individual sport than a lot of the other team sports.
Right.
So I don't know.
It's a loosely connected series of individual events.
Yes.
It's kind of what it is. I do get that. That part is kind of cool. And it's great in the first couple of innings, especially when you do have a lot of the big names, a lot of the big time stars on the field. But at some point, the Rays, their representative is going to play, and the Rockies, their guy has to get in, and
James Wood gets out there at some point. Yeah.
Which
was good, by the way, really good.
Yeah, we're sitting here before the show talking about potential, outfield trade targets. I don't think the Nats they're not going to part with James Wood, right? He's
no, God, we would love that though.
I mean, he's 22 years old.
Power for days.
Power for days. I mean, if they were willing to maybe let him go and come hang out in LA and play for the Dodgers, I'd be fine with that.
There we go. And by the way, JF, they are going to wear their team unis.
That's
what
they're
doing. Yeah, which is great.
Yeah.
I actually really like that. I like seeing the Dodgers in Dodgers uniforms and the Braves and Braves uniforms. That I do like, JF.
Yeah, they wore those weird AL, NL jerseys last night for the home run derby. Those, I don't know, look like something you get on the clearance rack at like Foot Locker or something. But yeah, so anyway, All-Star game is tonight. We may or may not recap it on the show tomorrow. We'll for sure talk to Bruce Kuntz tomorrow, though. get an update on the farm system, talk about the draft and all those sorts of things too. So we'll get to know some of the new Dodger prospects, guys that we could be seeing at Chavez Ravine in the next few years for sure. But in the meantime, that'll do it for this edition of the Blue Review presented by LAX. Thanks to everybody in the chat as always for their participation. Thanks to LAX as well. Stick around. First pitch coming up on the ESPN LA YouTube channel. Travis and DeMarco and Bergie all hanging out for a little bit as well. So thank you for hanging out with us. We'll see you again tomorrow right back here at ESPN LA YouTube channel, 8:30 to 8:55. See you, everybody.
Team Cappy!
Team Cappy!